Hello and welcome to the podcast of Carpool. This is the version where we use all the bits that we just couldn't fit into the broadcast version. Now, my guest today is a comedian whose lightning-fast acid wit has played a very major part in the success of Dave's homegrown comedy showdown, Argumental. I'm referring to, of course, Mr. Rufus Hound. And what perfect timing, because there he is, emerging from the bowels of the BBC as I speak. Ah!
Hello!
Monsieur Hound, how are you?
How lovely to be here.
Thank you very much, very nice to meet you.
Well, back at you, yes?
Yeah, no, now you've got to put your seatbelt on.
Okay.
Health and safety. I can't even touch the controls of the vehicle, sir.
Right, it's
You're
fine.
safely strapped in. There you go.
That is a click. We are now safe.
And now, where am I taking you?
To Riverside Studios.
Riverside
please.
Studios. So you're just hopping from one fabulous studio location to another. Well, the lettings out. Very good. Yeah, the BBC are very nice.
They are. They're
They
very
let you
lovely
out.
people.
They don't like letting you in, but they will let you out, which is always a good...
Regardless
good
of
thing.
what Fox News tell you, the BBC are actually terribly delightful.
They're very nice. They're very nice. But anyway, Riverside Studios,
Yes, please.
which is in fact, of course, a famous old telly place, isn't it? But I don't remember why.
For my generation, Riverside Studios is most famously known as the location for
TFI Friday, of course. That did come from there for years, didn't it?
And I'm reliably informed by Richard Herring that This Morning with Richard Not Judy was also filmed there, which is a bit of a cult favourite. Might not be top of everybody's
no, but
playlist.
It was a very funny show.
But he told me that their Sunday afternoons were basically spent, having done the show in the morning, basically looking out at the river and getting steadily more and more
I would
smashed to
imagine,
pieces.
yeah. Are you doing a show there today? Is that what?
Yeah, so there's a show I do called Celebrity Juice
Right.
with a guy called Keith Lemon
Yes.
and Holly Willoughby and Fern Cotton.
Right.
I've just realised there's a button that says Navi. Does that take us to the world of Pandora?
Or Navy.
Yes, yeah, possibly.
It's with an unusual space. Probably the Greek Navy button.
Yes, that's right. Hey, where you want to sail?
You press the Navy button.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Hello, everybody, Pips.
I did know.
Do you have front-mounted cameras in here?
As
So
in
I
pointing
can't-
that way.
yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
no.
mention that,
You can
guys.
mention that bit of facial hair because that will be in shot, and that is fabulous.
Magnificent.
Because you're a man who sports some impressive facial hair yourself, and
very kind
I'm
of
very
you to
jealous.
say.
Very jealous.
All I can claim is that I sport facial hair, whether it is impressive or not,
But
not
that
is
was
up to others.
that was a kind of facial hair sculpture that man had, didn't he?
A few years ago, I took part in the World Beard and Moustache Championships
Oh, did you?
when they were
Wow.
held at Brighton. And that's quite a spectacle because you realise the Bavarians... So what happened was, at the... when would it have been? Probably 4 or 5 years ago. At the World Beard and Moustache Championships, they were held in Brighton. And obviously you hear about something like that, there is a certain sort of person who hears that is going on and is like, yeah, I want to see that. But the people who have been taking part in this for many years, they're not used to that British sense of humour, that is so nuts, I want to see it.
Right.
So it was held down at the Brighton Exhibition Centre, right on the seafront, and maybe, let's say, 200 people from around the world turn up.
Right.
A lot of them Bavarians, Canadians, Yanks, enough to sort of, for the various beard and moustache clubs around the world to be represented. But they just hadn't got that British sense of humour
Right.
that would turn up to be overly enthusiastic about people showing off a moustache. And they'd taken out, they put in chairs into the floor space of the exhibition centre,
Right.
thinking that would be as many people as would come. Maybe 700-800,
Right.
seats. So that included all the competitors and anybody who was likely to turn up.
Right.
Well, within a couple of hours, they were opening up the bits upstairs. They were
Wow.
trying to phone up irregular staff that work at, by which I mean people who aren't on contract,
Yes.
not hunchbacks and lolloping along, and trying to be able to staff the event because
Wow.
just hundreds upon hundreds and upon hundreds of people
Wow.
turned up to watch this. And the wonderful moment for me was one of the guys that won it, upon being announced the winner in his category, took to the stage with tears in his eyes and said, I have been attending these events in very broken English.
Right.
Now, I have come for many years, events like this. This is the finest moment, and to be crowned champion in such beautiful company.
Wow.
And he was saying in a few years' time it was going to be back. And I want you all to come. You're all my guests. But it was the thing was. There was an irony to people's support of it, as people would take to the stage for their bow and the close-up of their moustache. People were like, yeah, whoa! But there was an irony, but not a cynicism.
Right.
And I think that's
that's lovely.
That's the thing that the Brits can do, is they can get that it's silly,
Yeah.
but that it doesn't have to not mean anything.
Yes, yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's where things like Epic Fail fall possibly slightly the wrong side of it. Is because some things are just silly, and that's
they're not
fine.
They're not. They're so harmless that they're not damaging anyone or putting anyone down, are they? Now, because the thing because I sometimes meet people who are very successful and popular in the world of comedy and entertainment, and I'm quite bitter and jealous.
Right.
And you're one of them because of Argumental, which I think is such a, going, that's clever. One really clever idea because I've got a bit of a about panel shows and loads of comedians sitting behind desks and being witty. And then I watch them and I actually laugh, which makes me more angry.
it's awful, isn't it?
But that one is at least, it's got some sort of other grit and bite to it. But because the bit that did crack me up, and I thought that is tough. That was a tough gig you did, which was the old lady when you did the when you said old people
deserve less respect.
And you threw away her chair.
Yeah.
She almost overplayed it. The old lady.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. She basically it worked.
Well, that's it. We're given the topics on the day.
Are you really? So you really didn't have a long time to prepare?
No, there's no great lead into it.
Yeah.
There are some improvised rounds, and those rounds are genuinely improvised.
Right.
But the sort of bigger topics we've had a bit of a think about beforehand. And so it was like, what are the worst things you could say to an old person, and what could you pin on them, and things like that. And we met the old lady before she went
was so
on.
Sweet, yeah.
And she was sprightly walking around, and how are you?
I see.
I
so she wasn't hobbling with a stick.
No, but that's it. It's that you meet her, very nice, and I'm going to be saying some really horrible things, and is there anything on this that you'd rather I didn't say? And she's an old pro, so she's like, no, darling, you go for it. How do you want me to play it? Do you want me to look hurt? Do you want me to look... I went, anything that you think is closer to the bone, by all means, look a little bit sort of taken aback. But I think otherwise, just kind of, just stand there looking bewildered. I think that's kind of going to be partly the fun of it. But then when they had her coming out in all the long cardigan and the Nora Batty
and she
tights,
couldn't get up the steps.
That's it. And it just suddenly made everything I was saying so much worse because, and Sean had gone on beforehand and really played it nicely with the Werther's original and the chair. But it suddenly really cranked up how harsh that really was.
Yeah.
But the thing I think about jokes is that you can't go half-mast. If you're gonna do a joke, see it through to its logical conclusion. The things that really bug me, the other one that it seems everybody has seen at some point is the naked episode, where I was arguing. I say everybody's seen. You of course go silent. You're like, I haven't seen that.
No, I haven't.
I was arguing against Frankie Boyle that there's nothing wrong about naturism.
Right.
Or there's nothing weird about it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I realised the moment that they told us what the topic was that, of course, all you get into with that is, well, if from the other side, if there's nothing weird about it, off you go.
Yes.
And of course that's what you're going to get. That is the argument. If there's nothing weird about it...
Then why have you got clothes on?
Exactly. Why are you... So I thought, well, there's only one way to do that, and that is to do it, but absolutely right off the bat, on your own terms. And it's the sort of thing that you think about, and you think, well, I can make that work. And then somebody says, well, do you want a thong? Do you want a pouch?
Right.
That you'll go, all right. The problem with that is, if you're going to do the joke, do the joke.
If you'd stripped off and you had a little posing pouch, it would have been utterly naff.
Yes, exactly. Really, sort of unpleasant and awkward.
But interestingly, it would attract more attention to that.
Yes, exactly.
A very small area of a man's body.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I'm not saying very small.
You sure you haven't seen it? No, I mean, that was the worst thing. Was so then we're sat writing and working out what could be said and how it could be done, and that's all fine. But there is suddenly this moment where John Sargent says, "So," arguing that there's nothing weird about naturism.
Yeah.
Rufus Hound, and there's that voice in your head that goes, "Oh, so you're actually now going to do this, are you? Right. Well, deep breath. Best of luck."
Yeah.
The thing with the coalition is, what do you want to eat? A plate of poop or a plate of poop with a cherry on top? Because fundamentally, 10 million people voted Tory, so they do have a right to lead. More people voted for that team than any other team.
Right.
If you don't like that, don't have democracy.
Yes.
But at least with the coalition, you've got some sense that the edge is just being taken off.
Yeah.
So, it's a plate of poop with a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still fundamentally a plate of poop, but with a slightly cherry aftertaste.
I mean, I do think that is a very, I think that is very healthy, because I'm very happy for all politicians to know that there is an element of loathing and hatred for all of them,
Yes.
just by default anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to be a politician, it's been your life's ambition, you've wanted to stand up in front of people and tell them about leadership, and we all hate you, regardless of your political views, regardless of whether we agree with you. I want to hate, but slightly despise someone I totally agree with and support and would vote for. But I still want him to know that I basically despise you because you're a scum. You're a scum politician, and I don't trust you, and you will let me down, but I'll still vote for you because I'm trying to remain optimistic. And
do you think that's why Ken Livingstone's had such a long career? So, yes, all right, you seem fundamentally motivated by all the right reasons, but God, why? Boo!
Yeah, I hate you! Thank you for making the buses only 10p. I remember that, getting on the bus, and it was 10p flat fare, which Livingstone brought in, and it was brilliant. Everybody got on buses.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to hate him. You breed newts, you freak!
Yeah. Your voice is slightly nasal.
There was a thing I tried to get good at, was
Half
recognising...
Moon Pub there, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm interrupting, but only because the Half Moon Pub, the Stones played there, the Specials played there. That's a local landmark. Anyway, sorry, interrupting.
No, it was because that was much more important. A little bit of local information like that. I didn't know the Stones. So that was one of the when they were
the Kinks,
teenagers.
The Small Faces, the Stones.
Is that still a venue now, though?
Yeah, and was very interesting. Well, not very interestingly, but recently. So, the local brewery to here is Young's.
Yes.
Young's own that pub.
Right.
They own a lot of the pubs around here, and a lot of them now Putney, all la-di-da, gastro pubs.
Yeah.
And that venue as a venue was not doing its business, so they were going to take out the venue and make it just yet another Young's gastro pub.
Right.
And then there was a month of gigs where they got all sorts of bands and comedians to come down and play gigs there. Harry Hill plays there quite a lot, doing warm-up for tours and things. They got all sorts of people to come down saying, you cannot just make this another Young's gastro pub. And it basically, once Young's realised people really loved that pub, they said, oh, right, well, in that case, it just needs a new manager, somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right.
And, there was this whole campaign organised, and people going, you can't do this, and, bloody corporations, all you look at's the bottom line. And they went...
Do we go up that?
Yeah,
that
they go
way?
right here, yeah. All you look at's the bottom line, and Young's went, oh, no, it just needs to be run better, that's fine. And it was all this anger that was built up. It's just it's fine, we'll do what you like. Real people power, but if you've built up a head of steam of we've got to let these people know we will not stand for more posh sausages, and then they go, no, that seems perfectly reasonable, that's fine, we won't do it then. You're like, what?
Wait, hang on.
Good.
Can you? Yeah, we demand that you behave more like vicious corporations.
Horrible bastards. Yeah.
Well, it's like the Twitter trying to. I mean, corporations trying to defend themselves on Twitter, and people not buying it. But that did undermine me when I said, no, did I do the right thing there?
Yes, you did. I mean, you can go right there, but this might be less trafficky because that I think is anyway.
But how that completely I felt fell flat when I was I won't mention the corporation, I don't need to, but I was slagging off a corporation of whom I'm a customer. And then they replied, and then I went, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Which, so actually, in that sense, it works really well, because I'm going, they're rubbish, and then when they went, well, we'll try and do something about it.
How many followers do you have on Twitter?
Oh, I'm very small. Well, 45,500.
But that's enough.
Yes, it is enough to have that.
That's enough to have some clout. Kevin Smith, the director in America,
that's right.
asked to get off an aeroplane because he was fat. And nobody on the aeroplane realised that the guy has, I think, 500,000, 250,000. I mean,
he's
a huge number of followers.
Yeah.
And then as he was tweeting about how outraged, there was more to the story than this as well.
Yeah.
And, if you want to find out more, by all means, Google.
Yes.
But was so outraged, and then Southwest realised that they'd out of nowhere just had this enormous PR disaster land on them without any idea about this sort of modern networking.
Particularly in America, where essentially they were saying someone is, you said he was fat.
Well, the odd thing is that the fat lobby in America is kind of semi-unapologetic, because it says you've got all these companies that are telling us to eat all this food. We eat all this food. We are just getting bigger, and yet where they're trying to do things on scale, the size of seats at like roller coasters on Disneyland is getting smaller, and yet Americans are getting bigger. We're not going to stand for this.
Right.
Whereas in England, I think we just have more of the opinion of, you shouldn't be such a fat loser, and if you don't fit on something, go on a diet, Tubbs. Like, we're a lot more ready to kind of take that upon ourselves.
But if you do, I have made the mistake of mentioning size in relation to the fact that still, a good third of the world's population are actually starving to death.
Yes.
And I just said there's got to be something wrong, in the global picture of that. You can't. It's very hard to know. But there are torrents of abuse I got.
Right.
And not. Also sort of self-pitying. You don't understand what it's like.
Yeah.
It's genetic. I can't help it. And then you make fun of me because of something I can't do. Would you laugh at someone with no legs? You bastard.
In fairness, it depends how they lost their legs. If they were having a kick a shark in the face competition, then I think you reserve the right to laugh at their leglessness. I didn't expect you to remember this, because you said nice to meet you. Well, we have met once before.
Oh my God, that is so embarrassing.
Well, it is embarrassing at the point where there would be a reason for you to remember, but there's a comedy competition in Edinburgh called So You Think You're Funny.
Yeah.
And you have to be going for 18 months or less at the point you enter that competition. Yeah. And in my first 18 months, I got into the final of that competition. And as I was preparing to go on, they take you to the backstage bar at the Gilded Balloon. And in my year, you were at the bar. And as a big fan of Scrap Heap Challenge, I came up to you and went, look, I know it's really kind of not the done thing, but I'd just like to say I'm a big fan of Scrap Heap Challenge. Oh. I think it's really great. Anyway, nice to meet you. And you said, oh, well, how lovely. What are you here for? I'm in the final of So You Think You're Funny. And you said, oh, are there lots of you preparing to go on? And I said, yes. And you said, oh, great. And you left who you were with, and you came over to the table we were all sat at, and you went, look, just to say, it was early days of stand-up. You never know quite where it's all going to lead, but best of luck with it. Just the most important thing is to go out and enjoy it. And you talked to a few of the other chaps, and you couldn't have been lovelier. So it was very sweet.
When you said about going over to the what's so shocking is that there is a scintilla of memory still left in my fetid brain.
Yeah, but it was one afternoon
Yeah.
in one Edinburgh 10 years ago.
Right.
I at no point would suggest that you should imagine or remember that happened. But I remember it because, of course, it was the other way round, where I came over to you and went, blow me, it's Bobby Lou. And there you were.
Look at that sign there, Riverside Studios. There we go.
You can almost hear the Riverboat song.
And look at there's a comedian who's doing relatively well in the world.
Yeah. I was working with him just this week.
Were you?
He sent me... I've met Jimmy.
In case they can't see, it's Jimmy Carr. A huge poster we just driven past, because you might not have been able to see that.
I've worked with Jimmy a few times. Very nice man. And I just did 8 out of 10 Cats, just filmed it. And he sent me a text afterwards going, forgot to say thanks for the funny, lovely work. I was like, I don't really know him that well,
Right.
but it was
That's
such a
very sweet.
lovely
Very
text to
sweet.
receive
Yeah.
that I immediately felt like, oh, maybe we are friends.
Yeah. Well, I'd never met him until we were getting ready to do a carpool in Edinburgh,
Oh,
which of course
lovely.
it's the only town that can happen. He walked past. He said, "What is this? Some sort of student film?" When you're doing proper telly, give me a ring.
Nice. Good. Well,
Just-
of all the people, Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
Perfect for the carpool.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't actually
You
asked
need
him.
Jimmy Carr, Alan Carr,
Alan
like
Carr.
a big car.
There's only one with the called Bill Truck.
Now, you may even see the paparazzi here.
Oh, really? Because of Fern and people
yeah,
like that.
Fern and Holly, every
Ooh.
week they turn up and we have celebrity
Do you?
guests on.
Of course. Oh, you actually have celeb guests on as
Yeah,
well.
you may see a few.
Let me
And
see.
what's brilliant is...
Slightly disappointed there's no
Yeah.
paps anywhere.
Ah,
Well,
that's
that is
a shame.
heartbreaking.
oh, I apologise. Well, I won't go on about that.
Yeah.
But there's this lovely moment where I pull up in the media mercs
Oh, yes.
that they send to come and
Yeah.
get you. And they see it
Oh, we've
pull
got
up with
to
the
put-
blackened windows and they all run over.
Oh,
and then I get out and
why
they go,
aren't they here today?
no, you're all right.
I've done that one. I have done the classic one I did was going into a proper red carpet event with loads of photographers behind banks, and the camera going mad as I walked in. They went, Robert. And I went, I don't want to say anything, but fine. And then I noticed that all the lenses were like there, and it was Robert Lindsay was right behind me. And then I went in with my ticket, sat at the back.
Yeah. One of the minders puts his hand on your chest. Not you.
Yeah, exactly. Would you mind staying out of the way? Robert, get out of the way. Tom Cruise is behind you.
Yeah. Have you had the other one? I had it recently. I was walking through a shopping centre and these two girls ran up. Went, do you mind if get a picture? I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
And you
happens.
start putting your arm around one, and
They think you're
they're
a
looking
freak.
at you, handing you the camera. Like, we just want a picture outside the big top shop. You're like,
I'm glad that's happened. I'm
right.
glad that's happened because I've been caught with that one. It's very
Yeah.
embarrassing.
very embarrassing.
Thank you very much, Rufus. And
No.
have a wonderful show tonight. I hope you're not too tired after
Well, I
that
think-
arduous drive.
I think we're doing 2 shows back to back,
Blimey.
which is reasonably hard going.
You pros, you just knock them out.
Throw it down. Throw it down. Well, look, thank you so much
That's
for
all
the
right.
lift.
No, very, very, my pleasure, definitely.
And, you know,
I'll see you again. I'm sure I'll see you again in 10 years in some weird bar.
yeah. Right, nice to meet
All
you.
right, take care. Bye-bye. Oh, what a lovely fella. I'm so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed. And I've met Rufus Hound before and I didn't remember. And I'm going to be even more embarrassed if I bash into that hole. But that was the lovely Rufus Hound, ladies and gentlemen. But please join me again next time for more Carpool.